Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. This might be the most important video I do of the week, and that is because I believe inflation is real, and I believe you can't beat inflation, but you can use it. In order to do that, we have my real estate entrepreneur in general, Mr. Greg Dickerson. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, Michael. This may be the most important video of your life, not just this week.
Ooh, I like that.
You never know.
You never know. That's right. So as we talked about in the last episode, and really for the last couple of months, inflation is real, right? You can't get away from it. The talk of transitory is just that talk. We just talked about wages, services, all of that. So again, I just want to reiterate before we bring it up, you think inflation is real. It's not transitory. It's going to be with us for a little while. Is that fair?
Yeah, some of it's transitory, but yeah, at large, we are seeing real inflation at the consumer level, which is your problem when it comes to economic downturns.
Exactly. So what I thought we would do is, again, I did a 50-year research about a month ago. I've added more data because the audience here asked for it. So I want to show you the 70s. And the reason I want to bring this up is because I believe it's either the 1940s was average 6% inflation. The 1970s was actually 8%. I think we are repeating with the Fed and government spending mistakes of the late 60s that led to the 70s. So I want to bring this up because, again, I don't think you beat inflation, Greg, but I think if you're smart, you can use it. So I thought I would show you what I mean. Okay. All right, let's go. So hopefully you can see this by now. Or shortly. Okay, so where should I put us? I'll put you over here. All right, so what I'm bringing up here is a chart that starts in the 1970s. That's column B, and we are going to talk about homes. We're going to talk about home values, which is row 3. We are going to talk about income, which is row 9. And then if we want, we can also talk about row 15, which is CPI or consumer price index. So what I first want to realize is we have had decades of inflation before, right? The last 20 years, if you've only been an adult for the last decade or so, inflation really hasn't been a problem. And to talk about that, we'll actually go there first, right? A lot of folks who have been only an adult for the last, I don't know, couple of years or, whatever, decade or so, inflation really hasn't been a problem, right? You see it down here, got a little wonky in 2011. But for the most part, it's been right around or less than 2%. Right. This is the whole Fed saying we want 2%, we want, and we can't get there.
Which is incredible considering all the monetary easing that's occurred over the last 10 years. I mean, it's blown my mind that we haven't seen real.
Yeah. So, okay, let's go back to the 70s. So the other thing that I want to talk about when we think about the 70s is this actually a question. I don't want to lead the witness. Do you think interest rates are higher in 2029 than they are in 2021?
I have no idea. I mean, that's a long way out. Do I think they're higher next year than they are this year? Absolutely.
Okay.
But 2029,
too far away.
That's a lot of years.
Okay. But you think rates are higher next year, the year after, that kind of?
Oh, absolutely. They're already higher right now than they were last month.
Exactly. So the first thing I want to do is highlight that we have had a decade of raising rates before. And again, it was the 70s. And folks, if you don't know, since the 1980s, rates have been going down. We've had 40 years of generally rates going down, which is crazy to think about. So what I want to show here first is rates went from 8.5 in 1970 to 11.2 in 79. This is where it gets interesting. And I didn't see this the first time, Greg, I put this together. So nominally speaking, that's rates going up roughly 300 basis points. Right. And if you extend it one more year, they go up to 13.7. And now that's 5%. However, if you do the math, right, so there's nominal and then there's, right, what percentage growth. So from 8.5 to 11.2 is actually 32% increase, right? I did the math. So this got me thinking, in order for rates to go from 2020, which were 3%, if they did it nominally, that would take us to 6.2%. I personally think, Greg, that the nation, given all of our debt, I don't think the country could survive if 30-year rates are at 6.2%. That's just an opinion, could be way off, but I think a nominal growth of 320 basis points is unlikely. How does that hit you?
Yeah. I mean, the Fed's not going to allow that to happen. They'll start, like they're doing now, they'll be the buyer to keep those rates down. I mean, that's where the whole "you can't fight the Fed" comes from.
Exactly. So again, I think it going up 320 basis points is unlikely. However, will it go up 32%? I think that is very likely. And oh, by the way, if you don't know, if it starts at 3, you only go up 1% to 4. That's roughly 30. It's actually 33%, but you get the point. So could rates go to 4%? Absolutely. I think rates could easily get to 4%, if not a little bit higher. Does that feel okay?
Oh yeah, and I think, if you're talking about the 30-year fixed rate,
Correct.
then, I think you're talking next year.
Yeah, exactly. So again, could rates go up by 32% from the bottom of 2020 throughout the decade? Absolutely. Could they go a little higher? Great. Will they go up 320 basis points? Unlikely, in my opinion, just given everything going on. So, okay, we tackled the interest rates. Next thing, Greg, a lot of people tell me that don't really know real estate is if rates go up, housing goes down, right? Have you heard that before?
Yes.
Right. So first thing to realize is, well, not really, right? So we've already talked about for the decade, rates went up 320 basis points. Well, guess what housing did? Housing doubled. Housing went from 24 to 48. Right. So this was a surprise to me when I put this together. The reason all of this happened is actually down here, wages. That's something that I've come to realize is because real estate is a payment, just like you talk about all the time, cars. The average family of 4, so this is not an individual, but the average family of 4's income roughly doubled. It went up 86%. It went from 8,733 to 16,461. So how can people buy houses if housing doubled and interest rates went up? Well, guess what? Their incomes went up. That's what this shows here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, to your point, that equation would not work out now. Values are directly tied to rates now.
Mm-hmm. No, the payment there. This is again, folks. This spreadsheet is for you. I'm giving it away in the free course. And oh, by the way, I cite all my sources. So if you don't like my data, blame the source. Don't blame me. I'm just typing numbers in. Go there. And then again, down here, CPI. One thing that I did was interesting. I saw last time is I did some math, right? S&P growth. So stocks minus CPI, right? So how much of stock growth was inflation based? You can see there's some pretty nasty numbers in here, right? Right. So stocks went down in, I don't know what year this is. What is it's probably like 75, maybe. Let's see. Oh, 74. Yeah. So stocks went down 18%, but you had 11% inflation. Woo!
Mm-hmm.
Ouch. That's not good.
Well,
right?
that's one of the reasons,
Yeah, exactly. Right. This is what people need to realize is if you have inflation, it hurts gross margins. If you hurt gross margins, you hurt net income. And what is a stock? It's a forward-looking PE ratio. All these things are tied together. I mean, it's amazing. So then you could have home appreciation minus CPI. So when did homes appreciate if you strip out CPI? I thought this was interesting. They actually fell in 74 again, right? When you strip out inflation. So again, all this data is out there for people to decide. But really what I want to talk about is so I actually have a saying, Greg, if you want to use inflation, the 1970s gives you your clue. So you buy a cash flow rental with 30-year debt. If the 70s are going to be repeated, you will be having the low interest rate of the decade. You will have the low price point of the decade. You will have the lowest payment of the decade. And your rent will go up, as will your values. This is the whole argument about, your people. The only people that won or used won the 70s were people who used inflation. And you use inflation by getting fixed rate debt at a low point, and then you just hold on for 10 years. Your asset value doubled, your cash flow explodes because rents went up 116% over this time. So that's what I'm doing right now is I'm getting as much cheap 30-year debt because to your point earlier, I think interest rates are artificially low on the 30-year. So I want to lock in as much of that as I can. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, the only downside to that theory and thesis is values are at all-time highs right now from a real estate standpoint, and they don't always double as we saw in 2009. They got cut in half.
Yeah.
So as rates in this environment now, as rates go up, values are going to come down. And you're going to see values where they are now are going to get slashed as rates go up. They are directly related now. For every 1% rates increase, properties go down probably 10% or more.
Wow. Yeah. See, I don't see that. I think in my opinion, what I see out there is again, back to the whole 3 to 4%. I think values can hold, But yeah, to your point, right? We start getting to 5-6%. That's game over, right? I think it naturally could go to 4, maybe 4.25 before it really impacts. Because to me, it's all about wages. Because if wages go up 10%, housing can go up 6 and you're fine because it's payment based, right? It's all about wages. So yeah,
we're just in a different world. So my counter to that, and hey,
Sure.
we're disagreeing, is
Sure.
I'm going to say the way you use inflation is that inflation goes up, as interest rates go up, prices are going to come down. That's when you buy.
Okay.
So,
All right. I like
but
it.
the question is, and I haven't done the math, where are you? And I think we talked about it. Are you better off paying at a peak right now and getting a low interest rate versus waiting until prices are cut by 30-40% with a higher interest rate? Which one makes more sense?
Do the
I
math.
haven't done the math on that. Because I'm not long-term like that. I don't think in those terms because I don't, I just,
you're in and out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A long-term hold for you is what, 9 months?
Well, probably 3 years on some stuff, so bigger stuff, get it built, stabilized, and then sell. So I've had some stuff 2 or 3 years, but yeah, now I don't like anything longer than 6 months. Things just change too fast right now. And look, like right now, the market has slowed down nationwide. Real estate market inventory levels are going up. Days on market's going
Housing
up.
slow.
Why? Rates are up. They're higher right now than they've been. Mortgage refinance demand down. So, and a lot of people have gotten frustrated because they keep getting beat out on offers and things like that. So buyers are getting frustrated and just taking a step back. But I just like I said, it'll be interesting to watch what happens as rates go up. If they go up, we'll see. The Feds, they're keeping them down right now.
Yeah, exactly. This is a lot of fun. I think in the next episode, we'll talk about boom and bust and economic cycles and things of that nature. But before we do, how can people follow you?
GregDickerson.com. All my information's there. Everything, GregDickerson.com.
Thank you, buddy.